The following episode will contain spoilers. You have been warned.
You're listening to Cinema IRL, the podcast that throws you into the movie and asks the question, what would you do? Part man, part dog. Today's movie is Dogman. That's it. That's all I've got. Amber loved it. Scott, well, not so much. And now, Cinema IRL.
I wish I could switch places for just one day.
What would you do?
Put yourself in my shoes.
How do we handle this?
What would you do?
Put yourself in my position.
What would you do?
Now it's your turn.
Well, that was a movie.
Rough.
It was a little rough.
Oh, I loved it. I thought it was adorable. This episode, we are talking about Dogman. When a dog and a police officer are injured together on the job, a life-saving surgery changes the course of history when Dogman is born. Half dog, half man, Dogman is sworn to protect and serve, as long as he isn't distracted by squirrels, as he doggedly pursues his arch-nemesis, the feline supervillain, Petey the cat. But the rivalry between Dogman and Petey is upended by the arrival of an adorable kitten clone of Petey, Lil Petey, who changes the game for both of them. I thought this was adorable. I probably laughed more than the kids did.
I think you did.
It was cute, and there
listen-
were so many little jokes.
Listen, it had its moments. It definitely had its moments. I still think when he busted through the wall, he should have said, "Oh yeah." Just as a
Okay, you're saying what you like about the movie as you're rewriting it to something that didn't happen.
well, no, I just wanted to change that one line. That's it. Just give me a Kool-Aid Man reference. That's it.
That's probably trademarked. You probably, unless it's absolute
No.
satire. Like they do that in Family Man, or Family Guy, rather Family Man. Family Guy.
Family Man, which is the parody of Family Guy.
They do that in Family Guy, but you probably only do that if it's obvious satire.
I mean, yeah.
And Dogman was serious.
Yes. Yes, this was a serious.
It was adorable. So I think there were a lot of what would you do's in here. And as we were leaving the theater, you said, there's no episode here, is there? And I said,
Yeah.
no, there's
I still
plenty of things here.
I'm still sitting here thinking there's not an episode, so I'm just waiting to see where you go with this.
Okay, well, you're not paying attention to the plot then, because there was a lot of things going on that we could talk about. So,
I would have paid attention to the plot had there been one.
are you kidding me? There was more plot to this than there was Captain America. There was more plot to this than there was what was that obnoxious film with the women and they played sports?
Bottoms?
Yes, Bottoms. I mean, we've seen some ridiculous comedies that weren't funny at all, and this was actually funny. So, what would you do if you were a human or a dog? If you were any of the two main characters that started off where we had Officer Knight and we had Greg the dog, and they were in pursuit of Petey, the evil villain cat, and there was an accident, and they were rushed to the hospital, and they could save the head of the dog or the body of Officer Knight.
It was
Well, but that's all that was salvageable on each one is just a head and just a body. So they decided to sew them together, and that's how we got Dogman. So when Officer Knight and Greg the dog were in danger, they were going up this broken bridge, and Officer Knight says to Greg the dog, if anything happens to me, take care of my girlfriend, because they all live together, he and Greg the dog and his girlfriend. So at the hospital, they sew together the dog's head and Officer Knight's body, and off the newly constructed Dogman goes to go home to go back home with the girlfriend.
Recovery time was remarkable.
And
For having a head transplant surgery.
yes, it was. And so Dogman opens up the door, and that hag has already moved out. Within the course of the day of there being an accident and the miraculous surgery, the place is vacated, and that little witch already has a new boyfriend that she's moved out and moved in with. What the actual heck?
Yeah.
Says she didn't want to wait for this Dogman to come home. He was adorable. She didn't even give it a chance.
No, she didn't.
So what would you do if you were the girlfriend?
I mean, if my boyfriend was now a dog man, see ya?
You're not even going to give it a chance? Like, you like the dog, you like the guy. Now there's one less mouth to feed, and you got a combo. I think it's a win-win.
I don't know that I'd want to bang a dog.
Well, okay, well, you don't have to go there.
Well, yeah, you do eventually.
Well, the body is the guy's, so there's probably still something going on under the pants if you really want to go there.
Yeah, but I'm going to, like, while he's banging me, he's licking me in the face.
Oh, you should be so lucky.
It's...
Okay, so
wait. Now I see why you're good with this.
I don't know where you're going, but I sense it's nowhere good. So our next what would you do
It's not.
is Petey wants to create a clone of himself. So he has 2 times of the evil supervillains, and he goes through the process and creates a clone. But then it turns out step 4 is wait for 18 years for this baby clone to grow up to be you.
Yeah, most people forget about step 4.
Yeah, so he just has this adorable little kitten that was basically him at this young age. And he's not evil, he's not tainted, he's not bitter. He's just an adorable little kitten. So little Petey is actually Petey's clone, but little Petey thinks Petey is his dad. And just loves his dad and wants to be with his dad. But Petey is very annoyed that he does not have an evil clone helping him carrying out his evil plots and destroying Dogman. So what would you do if your experiment went awry and you did not read through the instructions fully, like 99.9% of the guys who do not pick up the instruction booklet and read it fully, and you've done step 1 through 3, and then you have an adorable little kitten?
Same day Amazon Prime delivery of that undo button.
Okay, so Petey
undo.
did order the undo button, and when it arrived, little Petey had already gotten into his heart.
Well, that's what happens when you don't pay for the express shipping. You give it time to get into your heart. You got to get it out of there quick.
Okay, so what would you do is you pay the extra money for quick delivery
Yeah,
of the
quick-
undo button.
Yeah, that way they never pull on your heartstrings.
Okay. So now the next thing is Petey abandons little Petey. Like, he's annoyed with his kitten now. He's like, I don't have time to be a kitten. The kitten keeps calling me Pop, and I don't need that. So he abandons little Petey, much like his dad abandoned him when he was a little kitten. And so Dogman stumbles upon little Petey, takes him home, gives him a bed, changes the word sleep to sleepy, or free kitty to sleepy kitty, because that was on the box when Petey was trying to give away little Petey, and reads him a story and tucks him in, and he's so loving and caring and adorable. And later in the film, Petey swipes little Petey away from Dogman.
Yes, he did.
How would you feel if you were the one swiped away, or if you had grown to love and care for little Petey and then he was taken away from you?
I guess it depends on how much time has passed.
Really? You couldn't just instantly fall in love with adorable little Petey?
Well, if their dad comes to try to pick
Well,
them up,
it's not his dad. It's his clone.
well, he was calling him Papa.
Yeah?
Like, if Papa comes around,
Papa SOB who abandoned him on a street corner in a box that said free kitty?
yeah, well,
F that Papa.
other adults shouldn't just be taking in little children into their homes and giving them beds to sleep in.
Why do you gotta make everything creepy?
I mean, have you met me?
Sadly, yes. So the film progresses, and eventually we find that evil Petey has to unite with Dogman to save little Petey
From
who's-
the fish.
who's wound up in the crosshairs of an evil fish named Flippy.
A fish and his army of buildings.
Yeah. Kuba Kaba, Kuba Kaba, Kuba Kaba. That's what the buildings say. Kuba.
Yes, they were not.
I think that's Cuba Gooding Jr.'s twin. Kuba Kaba, Kuba Kaba.
Yes, they look just like Cuba Gooding Jr.
So, in that case, what would you do when you had to unite with your nemesis to save someone you both loved?
Well, I mean, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So, if that's what you got to do, you put aside whatever it is you need to put aside to get it done, and then we can go back to not liking each other when it's done. But if we have the common enemy, let's take care of the common enemy first.
And Flippy was quite an enemy. That was one evil fish.
It was something. It was Ricky Gervais level evilness in that fish.
Yeah, that fish could levitate things and fly. And he was a menace to society that ultimately destroyed most of the city's buildings.
Well, yeah, because the chief of police kept the dead fish in his file cabinet.
Well, the dead fish wasn't a problem. It was when the evil fish was brought back to
the
life.
Yeah, that's the one that was brought back to life.
Yeah.
So
There's nothing wrong with being a dead fish in a cabinet.
there isn't?
No.
That shit would start to smell
Well,
after
I think
a while.
he was in some sort of formaldehyde because he was fully intact. He wasn't rotting away. I mean, let's not get crazy. The chief of police was not a crazy man.
No,
the fish
he
in
was
his cabinet, I'm sure,
perfectly
was
fine.
perfectly preserved.
Perfectly fine.
Because Flippy didn't have any sort of flesh falling off or holes in his face or anything like that. He was perfectly preserved.
Yeah, he
So
did
what
not.
would you do if you were the chief of police? I would make sure to put my evil fish Flippy into some formaldehyde or some other liquid preservative to ensure his ability to rise from the dead and commit evil crimes in the future.
Yeah, I've got one word for you.
I don't know if I want it.
Sushi.
Yeah, says the man who
Sushi.
basically got food poisoning from sushi recently.
I mean, I didn't get it from evil. Actually, it might have been an evil fish.
Yeah. Well, I thought this movie was adorable. I laughed, I snickered, I had a wonderful time, and I enjoyed it a lot. And what would I do? I'd watch this again. It was so cute.
Yeah, I think you're a Gen Alpha in disguise.
There was a lot of little jokes for humans of all ages.
I mean, yes, they definitely threw enough things in there to keep an adult's attention who's going there with a child. That said, I don't want to be that guy, but I am that guy. It was too nonsensical for me.
Oh, wow.
We hope you enjoyed our episode. Thank you for listening. And to catch all the new episodes, please subscribe. We release 2 to 3 episodes weekly, so we'll have new content regularly. Until next time.